Hello and welcome to a friendly chat. Today I would like to talk about physical media and why I actually still prefer it over streaming services and digital subscriptions. So join me, if you will, for this conversation.
And now the news. Don't touch that dial.
So I've had several attempts at trying to record this video. Initially I had one main reason why I prefer physical media over subscription services and streaming. But it wasn't working and I wasn't articulating myself very well, so I thought, just take a breath, take a step back, come back tomorrow and see how you go. And I'm glad I did because it gave me a chance to think a bit, and I realized that there is a second main reason why I prefer physical media over streaming and digital subscriptions. And when it comes down to it, it's nostalgia. It really is. Now, I'm an old Gen Xer from the 1800s, and because of my age and generation, I got to witness and experience a slog of different medias over the years. I got to see the rise and fall of VHS, which in turn turned into the rise and fall of video stores, which I'm still depressed about to this day. I got to see VHS turn into Laserdisc, then get turned into DVDs, then to go to Blu-ray, then to 4K. I've got to see gaming systems go from the Atari 2600 all the way through to the PS5, and everything in between that. Plus the formats of those going from cartridge to disc to now just download the game to your hard drive. I've seen books. Books still exist. I mean, it's not like books, but the rise of the Kindle and mainly people just reading books on screens on their phones and on Kindles and on their computers and whatnot. And of course, comics as well, going from paper comic to digital comic. So yeah, I've got to witness a lot of stuff. So the rise of personal computers, the creation of the internet, things like that. So I've been really, really fortunate, honestly, of just in the 49 years that I've been alive, just to see a lot of stuff, come, some of it go. I got to see, vinyl disappear, get replaced by CDs, and then come back again, which is kind of cool. And of course, during my time with music, my format of choice was cassettes because that's what I could afford. Um, but yeah, so there is a lot of nostalgia about that because I was around during the rise and falls of some of these formats, and just the evolution of a lot of these formats from magnetic to optic, really, like from as I said, from a VHS or a cassette tape to CDs, or DVDs and Laserdisc in between. So yeah, so there is a massive amount of nostalgia for it. Now I did attempt to replace a lot of my DVD formats with by ripping them and putting them on hard drives and things like that, just for convenience sake. But I ended up coming back to it because I don't know. Part of me, as I said, I do miss the video stores and just the thrill of the hunt of not knowing what I wanted to watch. You can do that on a streaming service, I'll freely admit, but there's something about just looking at the media spine out or even face out and just going, that looks cool. That I do miss from going to a video store. So having that on a shelf in my lounge room, I can still actually do that and just glance over every now and then and go, I want to watch that. And I feel like watching Predator and pulling it off and putting the disc in. Now, I know for some of the younger generations, you probably think, that is so archaic. Why don't you just go hit play, on the streaming service and go, yeah, that, as I said, convenience. They have it down pat, absolutely. But as I said, there's a nostalgia to it. There's sort of with the VHS, taking it out, putting it in, fast forwarding through all the ads and trailers, and then getting to the movie, and then of course the rigmarole of rewinding it after the movie's over. So yeah, I still have fond memories of that. And with a book, like I do prefer to read a physical book. Like Kindles are excellent for, especially in my age. I'm starting to need these to read, but there is something, and especially for me, of the tactile sensation of touching paper and like reading an actual book where you're going through it and just as you go. I actually prefer like turning a page like that rather than just swiping. Like for me, I just get more satisfaction out of it. And when you read an older book, and same with comics, you also get the sensation of the smell of the ink and the paper as it gets older, which activates your memory of stuff as well. So, as I said, nostalgia is a big part of it because, as I said, it reminds me of where I was when either I first saw it, or when I first rented it, or when I first bought it, and that's a big thing for me because I saw a lot of them at the cinema. It was either rented on from the video store, or when videos became readily available to purchase, and we're heading into the very early 90s here. You could actually buy them for a reasonable price. My family was late into getting a VCR. We didn't get one till Christmas of 1990, and before that we'd maybe rent one over the school holidays, and just go down to the video store and pick like a whole bunch of weekly movies and just go through them as the holidays ticked on. But it was one of those things. I was very much a nut for media. I really was, especially in school, and that I was part of, I used to deal with that a lot. So I got into VHS quite quickly, and very much just jumped in with both feet. And I was like, so I was looking for movies I liked, and my mum, in her infinite wisdom, when we bought the VCR, she didn't just go, oh, we got a VCR, great. She made sure that we had stuff that we could watch on it. So for me, she chose The Terminator and Running Man, because my mum knew me. So I always joke that those are Christmas movies for me, because that's the first time I watched those specific tapes was at Christmas. But yeah, and from there it was like what's available, and little by little I'd build a library. But yeah, and as the 90s ticked on, more stuff was becoming readily available. So even TV shows started coming out. So you could get like Star Trek: The Next Generation on cassette. You get 2 episodes a tape, and they'd have like a nice little spine sort of artwork that would build on there. So on the shelf it looked really nice. They did the same thing with Babylon 5, and some of the other sort of science fiction series. They do that quite a bit. So that was kind of cool. You get a collector's aspect of it as well. So it was kind of not just, oh, I've got a TV show I liked, but it that kind of looks really neat. So yeah, and then VHS sort of gave way to Laserdisc for me, because I was into what's the next thing, and Laserdisc was better quality, and it was like the size of an LP. It was huge, but yeah, it was the only drawback of Laserdisc was it was an hour a side. So if you had something like the Alien Special Edition, you'd have 3 sides to it, so you'd have to swap the disc out, which can break the thing down a bit when you're sort of really into a movie. But yeah, and then of course that gave way to DVD, and I once again went real deep into that format. And as DVD was coming out, everything was getting released, so that was kind of really cool. So stuff that was never released on, say, VHS was coming out on DVD, and it was a lot more convenient because of space. Like you could cram a whole bunch of discs into a case, and you could put a whole bunch of episodes of a TV show on a disc, so you could do box sets of seasons, became really, really convenient that way for people who liked physical formats. So yeah, as I said, nostalgia is a big part of it. I really do admit that, because I've always been a comic collector, so I always like the physical part of comics. I like trade paperbacks to read, because I like more bang for my buck in a story, and I like having I like bookshelves. I like having stuff on bookshelves. Now, as I said, it's for younger generations who basically they didn't have to go through that whole sort of evolution of media and that. So millennials went through it as well, and then I don't know, the Generation Z. I don't know if they're probably born on the cusp of the end of like Blockbuster and things like that. So yeah, for them, the internet's always existed. Streaming services are pretty much almost or completely existed, and so they don't remember what it was like before all that. And another thing, and this is another thing for me growing up, especially before VCR in my family, not being able to record something off the TV meant that I had to really, really manage my time. So if I wanted to watch, say, Voltron when I got home from after school, I would have to make sure that I was sitting in front of the TV at 4:30 to watch that. Otherwise, I missed out, and the odds of it ever getting replayed was like astronomically against. So yeah, I'd have to really manage my time. So it's like, right, I've got cricket training after school. That finishes at 4. I got half an hour to get home. Yep, I can make it. If I don't dilly-dally. And that's the thing, as a kid, there was always that sort of, going, oh, if I had a TV station, I could just watch anything whenever I wanted. But no one really thought that somewhere down the track, a format like DVD would exist, where you could have an entire TV series at your fingertips, or even a streaming service where just about everything that they have is available at any time of the day or night. Because even before that, when you had cable TV, you still had to follow the TV guide. So it's like, well, if I want to watch this movie, it is on now, and they will repeat it later. But the streaming service did bring in that thing of you can watch on demand whenever you want. If you want to watch it at 3 a.m., you can watch it at 3 a.m. And as a convenience, absolutely fantastic. But part of it for me is that as I said, nostalgia is great, and I like to own it. And that is probably my bigger gripe with streaming services and digital media, is the fact that I don't own it. They can edit stuff at will. They can remove stuff at will. And that for me is kind of annoying, because I personally, I understand there's stuff out there from the past, and predates me, and even during my life, where people will watch it and go, yeah, that in modern stance is offensive or triggers me, and I get that. I completely understand that, but I still don't believe that gives people the right to modify it. And they've done that with books as well. Now, I don't know if Kindle modified, say if you had the Roald Dahl books on Kindle, when they decided to change the text in there to remove certain phrases, whether they automatically did that across the board, or whether you just had to get a new version. I think getting a new version, I think, is a smart thing, because you can sell the book twice. But the idea that at any point they could update it and change what you have is kind of irritating. The other thing that I don't like is the fact, especially with Kindle and other digital services like Steam, or even Xbox or PlayStation with their digital downloads, they can just remove it at will. And this actually happened to me on Kindle. I had a book, and one day I thought, I feel like reading that, and noticed it was gone, and I found out that Kindle or Amazon realized they didn't actually have the rights to put it on Kindle, and they removed it. And I was like, that's great. Do I get credit for that? And they're like, no. And it was like that to me was annoying, because it's like, I don't, if they just said, oh, well, sorry, we had to remove that book, but here's a credit for towards another book, it's like, I would have been okay with that. It's like, I get it, there's certain rules, but the fact that they could just do it willy-nilly or at whim, and there's no recourse to it, because I'm guaranteed it's somewhere in the fine print, that I have a problem with. And plus my other thing too is, and look, I'm not like saying that these companies are ever going to fail, but if Amazon were to fail, or if Steam were to fail, I got a lot of games on Steam, that stuff all goes away. It's just gone, dead. And it's like, most of those games, you need Steam to play them. So all the money spent on those digital games is gone. So that is another thing. Now, as I said, I don't think Amazon's going to fold anytime soon. I don't think Steam's going to fold anytime soon, but they could. So yeah, there is that. But yeah, as I said, the idea that at some point they could just dip into your account and just go, we're removing all these. So I know PlayStation had an incident where they removed a whole bunch of games that they weren't backing anymore, and they just went, so yeah, people went, oh, I want to play that. And it's like, no, we don't have this anymore, so you can't play it anymore. So yeah, that is, I don't know, I find that concerning. Also with games too, I prefer, as a big, so I grew up with it, when they were in cartridge format or CD format. The fact that modern games these days aren't even, like, you get a disc, yeah, sure, you put it in the tray and you hit it, go to hit play, and it's like, oh no, we got to download 47 terabytes of this. The game is just basically a code to download the entire game. So even then, you're not even getting a real game or a full game. It's kind of like, that annoys me as well. So yeah, so a lot of the elements like that are kind of irritating for me. When World of Warcraft first came out, I played Warcraft 2 back in the day. I played a bit of Warcraft 3. I was like, oh, I don't mind the universe, but I just did not like the idea of paying like between $50 and $80 for a game, and then having to pay $15 a month to play that game. And if it was one or the other, if it was just like, here's the game, you pay $100, that game's yours, you can play it as you want, or the game is free, you download it, you got to cost you your bandwidth, but to play that game now you have to pay your $15 a month or whatever it was. I wouldn't have had a problem with that either. But the fact is, you still have to buy the game or the next level patch or whatever it is, add-on, and that. It's like, yeah, they should be providing this for free, because they're making their money off the $15 monthly fees. So yeah, with comics as well, like some of these companies have disappeared as well, but Marvel had their own digital not digital downloads, but you can digitally download the books, but they had their own digital archive, which is a monthly fee, and you can read not everything, but a bunch of it. But once again, that's like one of those things where they just decide, we don't want a Ghost Rider on here anymore because reasons. So suddenly I'm not saying that's ever happened, but they could. And then you have your streaming services. Sometimes they just go, we're not going to play these episodes of this show, like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is ridiculously edgy and very, very funny. But there are episodes of that aren't on streaming. They just went, no, this is too offensive, or people are going to get angry. And I'm just like, okay, fine, can't you exactly put it as, that's times to put warnings on things, I guess. But no, they just threw caution to the wind and went, no, we're just not going to do it. So yeah, it's I'm kind of an all or nothing kind of person. It's like, if I can't have all of it, why do I want half of it or part of it? It's just because I'm always going to know that there's stuff missing, and I'll be like, why isn't that there? So elements of, as I said, when it comes down to it, convenience is fantastic. It really is. I would prefer it if everything was under one umbrella rather than having 16 different services where you got to, if you want to watch Star Trek, you need this service. If you want to watch Disney stuff, well, you go to the Disney stuff. If you want to watch, James Bond, you go to Amazon Prime. It's like, yeah, it's, I get everyone's got a streaming service, but it's like you can't pay for all of it. It's not possible. So convenience is great, but yeah, it's there's still drawbacks with them as well. That being said, as I said, I'm not against it, but yeah, the fears of editing and just removing stuff, kind of that's always in the back of my mind, and it's actually motivated me to buy a few more movies that I still liked, and I probably would have bought anyway, but it sort of moved the time frame up to go, I should get these now, because occasionally something will come out and that some younger generation, I'm not ragging on younger generations, but it is quite common for people to discover something from the 70s or even 2010 or whatever, and basically go, wow, how did they do this? Is ridiculous, this is offensive, and then try to get stuff cancelled, try to get stuff removed. And I'm just like, yeah, there is going to get a point where that stuff won't be available even on streaming. So I sort of was like, I think I should get a copy of this now and just have it on the shelf. So short of them kicking the door in and going full, Fahrenheit 451 and just burning everything, which I think could be next week. Yeah, I can still go, well, I'm going to watch Blazing Saddles and not worry about whether it's been edited or, brutalized by, modern sensibilities. As I said, there's I can understand people getting upset, but the thing is that if you actually watch the movie and understand what Mel Brooks was saying, he is showing you how stupid racism is and not being racist. But so yeah, it's one of those things that it grinds my gears. But as I said, I won't take it away from people who prefer it. It's just as I said, more for me. It's, as I said, it's a 50-50 thing. Nostalgia is really, really strong on this one. But yes, the idea that at the end of the day, I'd rather own it than be permanently leasing it, which is what streaming services generally are, and digital subscriptions are. So yes, that's my rant on why I personally prefer physical media. But opening the conversation to you, what are your opinions on it? In the comments below, please, keep the conversation going. Do you prefer physical media? Do you have some bits and pieces? Maybe just your favorite movies or favorite TV shows, or you just like, no, it's too cluttered. I like having streaming services because I like to be able to watch it, any day of the time, without having to take stuff out of a case and put it back again. Please in the comments below. I am really interested because sometimes I'd like to know different opinions on it. But yeah, so thank you for listening, and also I'd like to thank all the subscribers that I've gotten recently. I've been uploading some of my old content since I've come back onto the platform. This is the first new video back, and I'd like to thank everybody who has subscribed from just watching some of my old videos. And if you like this video and like this sort of content, please consider liking and subscribing. It's one thing I didn't really bother doing on my old channel, but I thought people keep telling me, going, no, tell them, ask for it. It's like for your consideration. So yes, once again, thank you very much for everyone who has subscribed, And thank you for spending your time watching this video and my content. So with that, keep on reading, keep on watching, keep on listening, keep on gaming, and keep yourselves entertained, whether it's physical media or streaming, because there is lots of good stuff out there. So until next time, bye bye.
Damn the man! Save the Empire!